Okay, so this is a house question and it's building up a bit from what we've learned so far. So there is a bit of a jump here, but for most of us it should be fine. So I've given you a starting point here. So that's the first thing, just to make it a little bit easier for you to get started with. So if anyone's struggling to know where to start off. So that's going to be my baseline. And what we know basically is that these are all my sizes. So you can add them all up if you want, or you can mark 20 and then 40 and then another 10 and then another 10. Or if it's handier, as I said before, every time you mark a distance 35 and then 25, you can measure it over. So I'm going to put all my little marks there. So that would give me 140 in total. So this distance widthwise would be 140. Okay, and then I'm going to take my two main heights for the minute, which are 80 and 80. Okay, so 80 and 80 is 160. Mark the top one and I'll mark this one. And again, as I normally would, I'm just basically going to make a little rectangle, very, very light. And I'm going to draw the main bits of my structure. Okay, now what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to decide what I'm going to draw next. So what I'm going to draw next is I'm going to draw, well, maybe actually what might be a bad idea would be to draw the outline of the house. So we know that this is 140, so half of that is set. So just to get it to sort of stand out, I'm going to draw my roof, slope on one side, slope on the other side. I'm going to draw my vertical line on both sides, then I'm going to draw my baseline. Okay, so I'm happy enough with that. And then the next thing, you think about, what's the next thing that's easiest to draw? Well, I don't have to draw light lines through the windows and the doors, so ideally I could put in these at this stage. Now what we know is the blocks this time are 10 mil. So if we count up, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. So we should be coming up 60 mil for the door. Okay. And we know our window is here, so it's the 20 and 40 mil. So I'm going to draw a light line up first. And what I'm going to do is then I'm going to measure, well, it's up 2 blocks, so that's 20. And it's 3 blocks high, so that's another 30 or up to 50. And I'm now happy with my window, so I'll heavy that in. And I'll leave the top window for the minute. Okay, so I now have my downstairs door, and I have my downstairs window. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to mark the main set of blocks. So I'm going to mark every 10 mil here. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 and 80. And really the most important thing, I'm obviously a little bit off, that this one here lines up with the door. This one here lines up with the top of the window. It's pretty close on that one. And this one here lines up with the bottom of the window. I'll bring those across. I'm probably just going to draw these in a slightly different colour rather than the black, just to stand them out. But I'm going to literally bring these across on every single row. I'll come back with a brown in a second just to add a bit of detail. So I'm now going to set, well, what's the width between them. So they tell me here that it's 20. So just, I suppose, just so that we can see it, these marks here that I use for the windows are actually in the right spot. So a block, full block is actually 40 mil wide, which is this measurement, and a half block is actually 20. So this one here I'm going to measure in 40. I'm going to draw this one. And I'm going to do the same as I did. It's going to be every second block, but I just need to be careful. These are actually fully across. Okay? So they happen to have to be cut, obviously. They must be 20 mil wide into half blocks by the builders. Okay? And this one here lines up with this one. I'm happy enough with that, and then it goes up one more, and that's as far up as I've gone. And this one here is the one in between, and the one in between, and this here lines up with this. So what I'm doing, you can always check there whether they line up. It's a little bit of work just in making sure that you're accurate. Okay, so actually I'm just looking at it here. It is important that I work that way, right? That I do the blocks on the left hand side first, and you'll see why in a second. Okay. So all those blocks done. Okay, so now the question is, well, what distance is those blocks? So every block is 40 mil wide, and some of them have been split in half into 20 mil blocks, but they're pretty much 40 mil wide if you could fit a 40 mil one. So I'll have 40 mil here as well. And then once I know that that's where that point is, I can now draw this one. Every second one will be lined up with that. And this one here happens to line up at 40, so that's the exact size. So I don't have any more issues there. So that's how I figure out that. Technically, if you wanted to do the maths, that's 5 mil there. Okay, because that was 35, so it'll be another 5 to my 40 mil. Okay, so we're happy enough with that. I probably went a tiny bit overboard in terms of going down there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, well, right, well, I need 2 more layers of blocks to get up to the window. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to mark 10 and then 20. And I'm going to draw all the blocks in before I get the window. So again, it'll be every second one. So just be careful. This one here will line up. And then this one here will line up with this one. This one here will line up with this one. This one here will line up with this one. And this one here. Yeah, that's what I was expecting. There's a little bit big up there. So the window then, you can see on the drawing, there's a green line here, which is the center line. Okay? So the green line, I'm just going to mark it, or I'm just going to mark it, let's see, it was sort of a luminous green here. I'm not going to draw it the whole way across, I'm just going to draw it down something like that so that you can see it. And I know that the window is basically lines up with this window and this window. Or in other words, it's 10 mil to the left and 10 mil to the right. So 10 mil, so it actually touches the edge of that block, and 10 mil this way. So the window is 20 mil wide, and then it's 3 blocks high, and each block is 30 millimeters, or 10 millimeters, so it must be 30 millimeters high. And there we go. I'm going to draw that across the full width, so we layer blocks there. And there's my bit for the window. So the last thing I need to do now is put a little dot here to know every 10 millimeters and do the same over here, 10 and 10. We'll have a row of blocks going across here. As I said, every 10 millimeters there's a row of blocks going across. Okay, and then these ones here. That, so that's that block, this one here, it's every second row, so that must be that one. Yeah, I was just wondering, it's different on one side to the other. That's a full set of block. That one there, you get a tiny little bit of it left, and then this one here comes level. So I'm just really keeping an eye on this. It's a little bit unusual as it goes up towards the top. That wouldn't be typically what happened. The builder would probably split the block. Okay, so the pattern becomes a little bit uneven. So what I do actually, maybe I'll just use a black there just to show my window. Okay, so that's the main part of the question done. The last thing I want to do is I want to put in the chimney, and then we're asked to do a little bit of our own design. So our chimney is level with this, and we know that it's level with the top of the window before the what you call the chimney pot goes onto it. So I'm going to draw a light line across, level with the window, and we know the width of our chimney is basically 5 and 10 and 5, which is 20 mil, and we'll bring that down here. So we could have measured 20 actually across on that and then brought it down, and then we know it's 5 in and 5, and then it sticks up the width of one block. So I can bring across another block level there, and that goes up to meet it. And then what I'll do is I'll take my pencil and I'll heavy in what's correct. Okay, so here we go. And apologies again for thinking marker, it's just that this one is on its last legs. So what I'm going to do then, it says add some detail to your own windows and doors and shade in the drawing. I'm just going to shade in the chimney in that first. So usually a chimney pot is orange. It can be a black colour, it depends on the house, but we assume this is a red bricked house. I don't know if they don't show the chimney pot there. And maybe we'll use a light brown for the blocks. A browny reddy colour. So brown or red would be perfect. And take your time and you can shade this on. I'm just doing it very quick so that you're not spending ages watching me on the video. Okay. Let's see, we a darker brown. We'll use a slightly darker brown maybe for the chimney just to stand it out. Okay, if you don't have two browns, which you may not have, you could just literally just go a little bit heavier. Okay, so I'm happy enough with my house, and it tells me to design some of my own detail for the windows. So part of the junior cert is that you're going to have to do some bit of design. So that's why we did the fireplace, the last one, that you got an idea. Just put in a little bit of your own sketch, and we're going to do something similar for this. Now, ideally, I'm going to do this with a pencil just to get it right first. So hopefully this is seeable on on the drawing. So I'm just going to make a window design, some type of pattern like this, okay? But it can be any pattern. It doesn't have to follow this pattern. But I'm just going to take this one here. So I'm going to make a guess for the width, and I'm just going to keep it even, right? You can make yours wider. I think you make them much thinner, right? And like this one here, well, I'm not going to put two styles in it. I'm just going to put one style in the middle. Okay, I'm not going to put a bar up this way, but if you wanted to, you could. Okay, and the same here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some sort of design. So I'll pick this, and I'll just put an extra one in the middle, an upright one this time. Okay, doesn't really matter. It's your own opinion of what you want. Okay, I'm going to shade mine maybe in a blue, just to stand them out, right? Just that they stand out when I look at my drawing, or even a red. Sometimes you'll see houses, particularly older style ones, and they'll have fancy color windows. I'm going to pick a red. That's the color that I had handy. There's my window that way. It will be actually unusual to have one of them going horizontally, one of the styles going across the way, and one of them going up. But again, it's up to you. If I get a light blue here, I'm going to shade it for a bit of glass, and sort of a tealy colour here. Okay, just gives the impression that there's glass in it. A very light shade there, and then you can do your own design for the door. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to draw it as a half door. I'm going to put a glass panel in the top, something like so, and I'm going to put vertical panels in the bottom, sort of a very traditional looking door. Okay, now ideally I probably should measure that they're equal, but for the sake of today it's fine. So I'm going to put this again, and I'm going to shade it like so. If you want to be really fancy, you could put like a stained glass panel in it. You could have a door, I don't know if they have a full sort of glass door. That's perfectly fine. It's completely up to yourselves. Whatever you want to do, you could do a full wooden door, and you could draw a handle on it. You put a circular handle or a lever handle. Okay, so if I wanted to draw a lever handle, I might just sketch in a, this is sort of the type of handle that I have in my door. Okay, I'll put it on the opposite side. I'm going to get my teal and try to go over that it stands out. I'm going to shade my glass. This is probably fancy. You could try to put in stained glass detail. But that's my questioning completed. So I'd be interested just to see what can you come up with for your design for the windows and for the door.